Sophie Cunningham is like the second biggest star in the WNBA.
That's the referees not protecting
them, just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player. So
she didn't say stars in the WNBA. She said the star of the WNBA.
Everybody knows that if you get physical and you rough up Caitlin Clark, the referees aren't going to do anything.
2 minutes ago, Sophie Cunningham dropped a statement that has set the sports world on fire. That's not a casual comment. That's a battle cry.
Everyone's like, oh, Caitlin needs to stand up for herself. And I'm like, one, she does, but two, she's a small guard. No small guard likes physicality.
In a league where toughness is questioned and loyalty is rare, Sophie's words are shaking the WNBA to its core. But is it really true? Is Sophie Cunningham ready to go to war for Caitlin Clark? Or is this just another viral moment?
Now Caitlin Clark is super popular, and now Sophie Cunningham is super popular for defending her.
In this video, we break down what she said, why it matters, and what it reveals about Caitlin Clark's rising power, and the battle lines being drawn in the WNBA.
It is a mad situation just all around when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because it's very clear that she is way stronger.
It is undeniable that Caitlin Clark is the engine.
Caitlin Clark effect. There has been so much of an influx in attendance and jersey sales and viewership, all the things.
That's about star power, narrative, and likability.
Caitlin Clark comes into the WNBA, goes through college. She has panache. She has style.
If you love Caitlin Clark 100%, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment with CC100 to show your support.
Sophie Cunningham was interviewed, obviously, after the entire fiasco. The entire Connecticut Sun fiasco. She was interviewed at practice. I don't think they really interviewed at practice after the for the Golden State Valkyries game, but they did, in fact, interview today. And Sophie Cunningham was interviewed, and this is what she said. And I mean, she's not wrong. She's not wrong in anything she said, if we're being honest.
2 minutes was all it took to send shockwaves across the WNBA, because what Sophie Cunningham said in her interview wasn't just post-game talk. It was a declaration. The message she sent was just as powerful, if not more so. Here's what actually happened.
during that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now.
Sophie was speaking to reporters after a fiery matchup between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun. It wasn't your typical press moment. This was a response, an emotional, calculated defense of a teammate who's been under siege all season. Sophie didn't mince words.
I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what?
She said, I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. But at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. I'm a team player.
At the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so...
Now pause for a second. That last line says everything. I'm going to protect my teammates. Not if the refs let me, not if the situation is right. No conditions, just unwavering commitment. And let's be honest, when she says teammates, everyone knows exactly who she's talking about.
I mean, really, it makes sense. She's protecting Cunningham, or she's protecting Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark. Sophie went further, calling out the league directly. It was a buildup for a couple years now of them just not protecting the star player of the WNBA. Notice her words, the star player, not a star player.
She completely and fully gets it, and she had to step in. I mean, that's crazy. It's been a buildup for a couple of years. Yeah, they've been ignoring it.
She wasn't talking about general unfairness or league-wide issues. She was putting a spotlight on one name, Clark. That's not just support. That's allegiance.
JC Sheldon claws her in the eye. Mabry just goes and shoves her onto the ground.
JC Sheldon had pushed Caitlin. She had pushed Caitlin in a second quarter.
So when JC Sheldon poked Caitlin Clark in the eye during the game, Sophie reacted. Not right away. Not in a dramatic scene. She waited. And when the opportunity came, she delivered a hard foul that sent a clear message. You don't touch Caitlin without consequence. The result, chaos.
There would have been a brawl in that game, and it would have started from Marina Mabry. If she was on the floor, the brawl would have started from Marina Mabrey. And Marina Mabrey would have been chucked out. Sophie Cunningham would have been chucked out. And JC Sheldon might have been chucked out.
Sophie Cunningham, J.C. Sheldon, and Lindsay Allen were all ejected. A near brawl broke out, and commentators lit up with questions about Sophie's role. Was it justified? Was it retaliation? Was it going too far? But here's the thing. Sophie wasn't playing dirty. She was playing with purpose. She wasn't trying to be the hero of the game.
Can we get Caitlin Clark a little protection out there? Because that's your Jordan. That's your Steph Curry. That's your LeBron, your Kobe. That's the face of the league. You got to protect the face of the league, ladies.
She was making sure everyone watching understood. If the league won't protect Caitlin Clark, then she will. Period. This is where the idea of I would die for Caitlin Clark becomes real. Not in a dramatic quote, but in her willingness to sacrifice her game, her reputation, and even her standing with the league to defend someone she believes in. That's not exaggeration. That's loyalty at the highest level. And it's important to understand. This wasn't random. It was strategic.
Also, the officials need to, I don't know whether they were just common fouls, but maybe they shouldn't be, right? I mean, the league itself can take care of this if they want to.
Sophie Cunningham didn't come into the WNBA trying to be the star. She knows her role. As she said in the past, she's the sidekick, not the main act. The Sabrina Carpenter to Caitlin's Taylor Swift. But sidekick doesn't mean silent. Sidekick doesn't mean soft.
We're not talking about new basketball fans, just fans that came into watching the WNBA. I mean, a lot of us would watch some women's college basketball, but watching the WNBA and seeing how things are run.
It means she shows up when it matters. And she did. So is it true that Sophie Cunningham would die for Caitlin Clark? Not in a literal sense, but in a league that's failed to protect its biggest asset. Sophie's actions made her message crystal clear. You mess with Caitlin, you deal with me. And that says more than words ever could. To understand why Sophie Cunningham's actions matter so much, we have to take a closer look at the broader problem.
I mean, occasionally you have something go down that's physical in the NBA, and that's fine. It's every other day that somebody's getting cremated on a basketball court. Sophie Cunningham has come out and called it out, and of course, the other night's incident between Sophie Cunningham and J.C. Sheldon, where Cunningham fully embraced her enforcer role for this team, that is a byproduct of the referees not having done their jobs.
The WNBA has consistently failed to protect its most valuable player, Caitlin Clark. Let's be real.
She is the needle mover.
Caitlin Clark is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP. She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court. Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
She's my role model. I really look up to her.
Why do you like Caitlin?
She's so good at basketball.
Because she's that awesome person and she has like a lot of aura, so like.
Caitlin Clark isn't just another rookie. She's a once-in-a-generation talent, the kind of player who brings in new fans, boosts ratings, sells out arenas, and moves the culture forward. But instead of celebrating her, the league has allowed her to become a target.
Caitlin Clark was just assaulted bad. This is the worst one ever, bro. She was literally poked in the eye, then pushed to the ground. This thing went south. The WNBA is a freaking joke.
We see Caitlin Clark on the receiving end of something, and it's not called correctly. In fact, she gets a technical foul after getting poked in the eye and then shoved to the floor, and Marina Mabrey doesn't even get thrown out of the game. It's basically open season on Caitlin Clark.
Everybody knows that if you get physical and you rough up Caitlin Clark, the referees aren't going to do anything.
Night after night, she's roughed up, blindsided, elbowed, and shoved. And the officials barely blink. And everyone sees it. Even Sophie Cunningham said it out loud. It was a buildup for a couple of years now of them just not protecting the star player of the WNBA.
No finesse guard likes physicality. Like, what are we talking about? Like, no, if someone tries to fight Steph, Draymond steps in. If somebody tried to fight Jordan, it was Charles Oakley or it was Dennis Rodman that stepped in. It wasn't Jordan. Like, you get big, you have to kind of defend yourself sometimes, but at the end of the day, Like, you also have bigger teammates, and it shouldn't be Sophie Cunningham. And you better believe in that game.
Think about that. Not just 1 or 2 games, years. Years of physical play going unchecked. Years of star players like Caitlin Clark being left to fend for themselves. And who steps in? Sophie. But why her? Sophie's not a superstar. She's not the face of the franchise. She's not even in the starting 5 every night. But she's a veteran who knows exactly what her role is.
Going after a superstar and trying to rough them up a little bit to get in their head is a part of sports. When it crosses the line, the referees need to do their jobs. They need to do their jobs, blow the whistle, and officiate properly. Hand out flagrants, kick people out of games, nip it in the bud.
Them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player. So
she's the enforcer, the protector. And in her mind, if the refs won't protect Caitlin, if the league won't issue flagrant fouls, if opponents keep taking shots at Clark without consequence, then it's up to someone like her to draw the line. Because here's what happens if no one does. The blueprint to beat Indiana becomes simple. Bully Caitlin Clark, knock her down, frustrate her, throw her off her rhythm. That's what Sophie's trying to stop. In fact, she said it herself. If Sophie Cunningham didn't do what she did, the blueprint to beat the Fever would be to rough up Caitlin Clark. Do whatever the hell you want to Caitlin Clark, and there'll be no punishment.
Sophie Cunningham was interviewed, obviously, after the entire fiasco. The entire Connecticut Sun fiasco. She was interviewed at practice. I don't think they really interviewed at practice after the for the Golden State Valkyries game, but they did, in fact, interview today. And Sophie Cunningham was interviewed, and this is what she said. And I mean, she's not wrong. She's not wrong in anything she said, if we're being honest.
Let that sink in. What she's saying is this. Her foul wasn't just about retaliation. It was about protecting her team's future, about sending a message to every other team in the league. If you come for Clark, there will be a response. This is why fans are rallying behind her, because it's not just about one fight or one technical foul. It's about the principle.
If you want to give Caitlin Clark a technical foul for the reaction, the ball's here. The ball is here. Caitlin Clark's head is here. The ball is, she's nowhere near the ball and she goes for the eye. You might as well just say it's protect all players. It's protect all players other than Caitlin Clark, because they are watching her scratch someone in the eye this much away from the ball. It's not even close.
Sophie Cunningham saw what the league refused to do, and she took action. She made herself the shield. And whether people see her as a villain or a hero, she doesn't care. Because in her words, I'm a team player.
And I'm a team player, so.
That line isn't just about basketball. It's a mindset. She's not looking to be liked. She's looking to lead. And here's the irony. The league may not like Sophie's methods, but they're benefiting from the storm she stirred up. More views, more engagement, more attention, but still no real accountability for the officiating. No real protection for Caitlin Clark.
It is what Marina Mabrey is. It is what, to an extent, Alyssa Thomas is. And you better believe, there are players in the Fever team that are soft. And I'll say this, where it's it's very rare in sports that the guard is the enforcer. Everyone's like, oh, Caitlin needs to stand up for herself. And I'm like, one, she does, but two, she's a small guard.
So Sophie's stepping up again and again. Because while the league stays silent, Sophie's voice is getting louder. And her message is simple. If the WNBA won't protect Caitlin Clark, I will.
The old WNBA side of things, she had some really, based comments to make about the fact that, hey, the WNBA wanted this league to grow. And then when people have conversations and things to say, it's like, well, did you want it to grow or not grow?
By now, it's clear that Sophie Cunningham has Caitlin Clark's back. But there's another layer to this story, one that goes beyond team loyalty or a single on-court incident. Because Sophie isn't just defending Clark physically, she's elevating her. And in the process, she's reshaping her own role in the WNBA. Let's start with the facts.
Her jerseys have sold out. Everybody loves her. And it's her very first season with Fever. and she's like the second biggest player in the WNBA now.
Sophie Cunningham is one of the most self-aware players in the league. She knows she's not the superstar, she knows she's not the headline act, and she's never pretended to be. In her own words, she compared herself to the Sabrina Carpenter to Caitlin Clark's Taylor Swift.
I think Cunningham could take everybody on that bench. Someone was like, "Oh, well, man, it's a good thing that Mariana Mabry didn't stand up." And I'm like, "Why? So she could get her ass kicked too? Like what?" Like, I desperately want to know what she was saying. She put her in a clinch, as you could tell. And then when Sheldon realized that there's nothing she can do, someone said that they thought Cunningham was going, "What are you going to do now? What are you going to do now?" Oh my gosh, please let it be.
That says everything. She's not chasing the spotlight. She's amplifying it. And she knows that in today's game, that can be just as powerful. Because here's what Sophie's really doing. She's building a brand around protection, toughness, and team-first loyalty.
When they started talking about you, you got pissed. She gets it. I mean, look, again, fans is short for fanatic for a reason. All right, fan bases are crazy, and the league doesn't know how to handle it. I mean,
And fans are eating it up. She's showing up in interviews. She's wearing custom t-shirts with her and Caitlin's names on them. She's leaning into the narrative. She knows what people are talking about, and she's using it to turn herself into a symbol of something the WNBA badly needs, a protector for its stars.
All of the race lesbians are going to be super mad at her. They're going to be super mad. That is her right there, taking Jackie Sheldon into a clinch. Imagine I can't get over it. You're Sheldon, and you're going to step to a girl who's got a black belt in Taekwondo. Like, you deserve to have both your cheeks kicked, man.
And let's not forget, Sophie's not just trending for drama. She's doing it while staying self-aware, humble, and strategic. She's even joked about making others rich off merch featuring her face. She knows how to go viral. She knows how to get people talking, and she knows how to turn loyalty into influence. This isn't just about one hard foul. It's about sending a message, rallying a fan base, and shifting the dynamics inside a locker room and across the league.
We were just having fun. I mean, she was playing. I was having a good time on the sideline. And I kind of told her, I was like, hey, you ever want to come to Phoenix, let me know. But that one kind of backfired on me. Now I'm here, which is great.
And ironically, this strategy, this unapologetic support for Caitlin Clark, isn't hurting Sophie's career. It's elevating it. She's not just a player anymore. She's becoming a voice, a presence, someone whose words and actions carry weight, both on and off the court. You'll likely see her on TV, breaking down games in the offseason, maybe even signing deals behind the scenes that have nothing to do with basketball, but everything to do with who she's becoming. And maybe that's the most important part of all.
I've always said that I would not vote for someone who cheated, openly, knowingly cheated. And then you start to think about, to what degree do they have to cheat for me to call them a cheater? Is Gaylord Perry cheated every start of his career? I know guys in the Hall of Fame who scuff the baseball. I don't.
Sophie Cunningham didn't just back Caitlin Clark in a heated moment. She committed to something bigger. She chose a side in a league that's still figuring out how to handle fame, aggression, and growth all at once. She chose to stand beside the most important rookie in WNBA history, not because it's easy, but because it matters. And when you do that, when you fight for someone at their most vulnerable moment, when you put your own name and reputation on the line, you're saying something deeper than words ever could. So when people ask, did Sophie really say she'd die for Caitlin Clark? The answer is still no, but also, yes, not in words, in action, in loyalty, in strategy, and in heart. And that might mean more than any headline.
Expect from Sophie.
Oh, you know what? I'm just going to be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so...
Sophie Cunningham didn't have to say, "I'll die for Caitlin Clark." She showed it with every shove, every stare down, every moment she stepped in when the league looked the other way. What she did wasn't just emotional, it was intentional. It was a signal to every team in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark is no longer alone. In a league struggling to protect its stars, Sophie Cunningham made her choice, and she chose to be the one who steps up. Whether it costs her minutes, headlines, or respect from her critics, she's not backing down. Not now, not ever. So, what do you think? Is Sophie a real enforcer, or is she crossing the line? Let us know in the comments. And if you support Caitlin Clark 100%, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and drop a CC100 in the comments to show you're part of the movement. This story is just getting started, and you'll want to be here for what comes next.